Hi everyone, welcome back. It's a fortnight since the last live stream. So tonight, as explained in my email to those of you who've done the courses before, I thought I'd do a sitting practice, sitting meditation, but starting off with some mindful movement practice. I'm just pausing a little bit because just waiting to see if any more people are going to join. Yes, I'll start anyway, as you'll be able to catch up. So yes, um, we don't often. Well, I don't often guide sitting mindful movement, but obviously it's quite a useful thing to do as we spend a lot of time sitting, and whether it's at work at our desks or well, just all sorts of places where we might find ourselves sitting. And when we sit for a long time, we can get a bit hunched, and tension can build up in certain areas. So it can be useful to remind ourselves that we can always do some mindful stretches when we're sitting. And obviously it's quite a convenient way of practicing mindful movement in this situation as well, on the live stream. I mean, maybe later on I can set things up so I can do a standing mindful movement practice, but we'll begin with this one anyway. So yes, so we'll move on from the mindful movement to just simply sitting with the breath. Okay. So yes, so about including all the pre and post chat, about half an hour maximum tonight. Okay, so beginning by coming to your sitting posture, whether you're on a chair or on cushions or a stool. And of course you could also do this practice standing. You might have noticed that I like to give a wide range of options, but really the point is to just adapt these mindfulness practice sessions to your own needs at any given time. So if, like me, you're sitting on cushions or on a stool near the ground, just beginning to focus your attention on where you're in contact with the floor. So the legs, the lower legs perhaps, the feet, the buttocks in contact with the cushions or the chair. I must remember actually to speak up a little bit as I'm a little bit further away. So yeah, so do let me know in the live chat if you can't hear me very well, and I will try and speak louder. Okay, so just adopting that upright, alert posture. Shoulders broad, open, softened in the front of the body and in the face, with the back of the neck nicely stretched out, perhaps by bringing the chin in slightly, tucking the chin in. And you might wish to close your eyes for a moment or two. Obviously you will need to watch what I'm doing in a moment, but perhaps just beginning with closing the eyes and just tuning into the body sitting here, and really rooting your awareness down into the ground, into the lower part of the body, whether you're on a chair or sitting closer to the ground. Just really bringing yourselves here into this moment, having that stable mountain-like posture. And we'll just follow the breath for a few moments, allowing ourselves to fully arrive, or as fully as we're able to, depending on what's going on for us right now. We might still feel full of the day, full of thoughts full of the sense of movement and motion as we rush around from doing one thing to the next. And we'll just begin with some very simple movements, which perhaps in a way, though they're very straightforward and the kind of movements perhaps that you tend to do during the day, this might in fact help us to link into being mindful of movements throughout the day in just ordinary activities that we're doing, ordinary movements. Okay, so let's begin by simply allowing the head to slowly and gently drop forward. So we can feel the stretch in the back of the neck and perhaps some sense of the head's heaviness. And in all these movements, being careful to work within your own limitations. If you have any neck issues, just going gently. It's not about the range of movement. It's about feeling into and sensing into the movement. And then gradually lifting the head back up again when you're ready. And now if it's okay for you, and it may not be for everybody, if you've got some issues in your neck, just letting the head tip back. Now it might just be a little way. So really going gently and feeling into this. How far back would you like to stretch and extend your head? Stretching out the throat at the front and checking into the sensations of this in the jaw, in the throat and in the back of the neck, making sure we're not crunching down too heavily in that area, keeping the neck quite extended. When you're ready, bringing the head and neck back up again. And for the next movement, just very simply turning your head to look to the right, feeling that twisting, turning movement, the stretch down, perhaps into the shoulders, along the side of the neck and across to the other side. Remembering to breathe as you do these practices, breathing into the stretch as well. And then bringing the head back to centre. And looking over the opposite shoulder, the left shoulder. Might feel somewhat different. My neck does actually feel stiffer on this side. So being sensitive to your limitations, your edges, when you're doing these movements, even though they are very simple, straightforward movements. They can still be quite challenging on certain days, at certain times. Bringing the head back to centre. And now, if it's okay with you, dropping your head to the side so that your ear is kind of moving towards the right shoulder. So don't hunch the shoulders, let the shoulders stay relaxed. And just stretching over as far as feels okay. You might want to vary the angle of the movement just to see where that point of stretch is. Maybe further back, further forward. And being very gentle and careful not to force your way into these movements. But just being aware, the whole point is really being aware of the sensations, tuning into our bodies and really listening to what our bodies are telling us about a movement. And bringing the head back up again. And dropping over to the other side. Maybe more movement in this side or less. Just noticing that, these differences between one side of the body and the other. Feeling that stretch. And then coming back to center. And now we'll just draw circles with the end of the nose. So imagining that you can draw a circle with the end of your nose in front of you. Can be a very tiny movement. That might be all that's needed for you. If there's any tenderness. Or you might just be interested to see what a small movement feels like as opposed to a bigger movement. And at some point, reversing that circle. How does that feel? Maybe it feels a bit more sticky, going round in the opposite direction, not as natural. Being curious and interested in these movements. The body's ability to move like this. And coming back to center. So now we'll move into the shoulders. So simply lifting the shoulders up without straining and then letting them come down again. Maybe synchronizing the breath, breathing in as you shrug them up, breathing out as you let them come back down again. Now let's rotate the shoulders. So bringing the shoulders up, forward, down, back, up, forward, down, back. So again, if you've got some stiffness in the shoulders, you might want to make this a very gentle, small movement. Or you might want to make it a bigger movement, maybe involving the arms. Really seeing if we can honour what our body is telling us, and then reversing the movement, so up, back, down and forward. And then coming to rest. And let's just pause for a moment to feel the after effects of those movements in the neck, head and the shoulders. Might be a sense of more blood flow, spaciousness, maybe a bit of discomfort if you've moved through any stiffness. Just seeing what's here and seeing if we can be with that just as it is. But also taking care of ourselves through all these movements and not doing anything that doesn't feel right for our bodies today. Okay, now so do some more stretching movements. So taking the hands, you won't be able to see my hands above, but I'm interlacing the fingers and then turning the palms out forward and then lifting the arms up above. So just stretching and paying attention to that stretch, making sure we don't jam into our shoulders too much, keeping the shoulders quite broad and keeping the shoulders down if we can. You can have the arms quite bent for this if you've got stiffness in the shoulders or the arms, or you can opt out of the movement altogether, maybe do a stretch in front of you or wherever feels comfortable. So just doing this stretch for a moment if that feels okay. And breathing, feeling the intensity perhaps of the stretch along maybe the backs of the arms, through into the wrists and the hands themselves. Maybe some effort some sense of effort building up the longer that we maintain this stretch. So deciding for yourself when you want to bring the arms back down and not being too influenced by how long I'm doing this for, or staying a bit longer if you wish to. And then releasing the hands and just letting them float back down to your sides. And pausing a moment. For the next moment, taking your left arm and stretching it up overhead. And then resting your other hand on the floor if that's the correct position for you, or you could have it hold on to the side of the chair if you're sitting on a chair, or to the side of the cushions or your leg, and just stretching over. Again, you won't be able to see completely what I'm doing, but hopefully you'll get the idea. So feeling that stretch all along the left side of the body, breathing into the stretch, paying attention to the sensations all along that edge of the stretch, from the hands all the way down to the shoulders, and then down perhaps into the ribs. Also noticing the other side, the side that's not stretching. Perhaps we want to kind of extend into that area too, rather than crunching down too much into it. And when you're ready, just bringing that arm back up again and letting it float back down to your side. And let's just pause for a moment and feel into the difference between the arm that's stretched up and that side of the body, and the other side that hasn't yet done the stretch. Just noticing that contrast. And then placing your left hand down to balance and stabilize you, and lifting your right arm up and overhead and stretching into the right side of the body. Breathing into the ribs, the armpit, all along the arm, the hand. And backing off when you feel is the appropriate moment, and just beginning to come out of the stretch and letting the arm float down by your side. Okay, just a couple of more movements before we go into the sitting meditation. Placing your hands on your hips. And for the first movement, just gently arching the lower back. So you're kind of pushing forward in the heart area and the chest, and the shoulders are going back. This is a bit like the cat-cow movement that we often do in the mindful movement on the course, but done in a sitting position. So breathing in as we stretch back, expanding in the chest area. And then breathing out as we bring the shoulders in, bring the chest in, kind of fold in creating a concave space in the body. So just in your own time now, synchronizing it with your breath, breathing in and kind of unfurling, stretching, expanding, and then moving forward, breathing out. And coming back to neutral position. So we'll have one more movement. Placing your left hand on the right thigh, and then holding onto the edge of the chair or your cushion, and just gently twisting round. So breathing in, extending, breathing out, just gently turning the body. So you're turning on the spine, looking over to your right, not forcing or straining, just doing this gently. And then coming back to centre and going over to the other side. So placing the right hand on the left thigh, the left hand behind you, perhaps holding onto the chair or the cushions. Breathing in and breathing out, twisting round to the left. And coming back to centre. So just for the last moment, perhaps doing any kind of a stretch that you feel that you would like to do right now. For me, it feels like another upward stretch. Always quite, my body seems to quite appreciate stretching like this after a day sitting or either behind the wheel of the car or behind a desk. Bringing the hands back down, and let's now settle into our sitting posture, coming back to stillness for a period of just simply sitting with the breath. So after those movements, just being aware of whatever body sensations are around right now. Perhaps a greater sense of aliveness, energy in the upper body. But maybe also it's perhaps brought your attention to tiredness or achiness. So whatever's here for you right now, simply opening to that experience of your body in this moment. And now coming to the breath and sitting with the whole body breathing. Feeling how the in-breath moves into the body through the nose or perhaps the mouth. There's that gradual sense of increasing expansion, inflation, filling up with the in-breath. And then that pause before we begin to let go with the out-breath. The air moving back out of the body. Feeling how this movement ripples through the whole body as we sit here breathing. And just breathing at in whatever way your body wants to, not imposing any special kind of breathing. So now we might be breathing deeply, but the next breath might be quite shallow, quite light. Just being with that rhythmic inflow and outflow of the breath. Savouring and tasting the breath in the body, just as it is. Perhaps we can notice how the breath kind of reverberates through the body. The bigger movements in the torso, in the chest, the ribs, back and front and sides, in the abdomen, but also feeling how the shoulders might lift and the arms might move out to the sides, how there might be some movement downwards into the pelvic area, into the buttocks. Maybe you even have some sense of the breath in the arms, the hands, the head and face, the legs, the feet. And simply including that experience of the mind wandering too, if that's happening for you, as it probably is, if not now, during this practice at certain points. Perhaps feeling how the breath kind of moves through the experience of thinking and emotions as well. That sense of fresh awareness with the in-breath, letting go with the out-breath. And perhaps also noticing those short pauses at the end of the in-breath before the out-breath begins, and at the end of the out-breath before the next in-breath begins. And now, just for the last few minutes of this practice, and do feel free to continue sitting with the breath if you'd like to do a slightly longer practice. But if you'd like to stay with me and finish with me, just now for the last few minutes of this practice, having an open awareness of all that's arising in the whole field of your awareness, moment by moment. So without any particular focus. So now we can include in our awareness, alongside an awareness of the body and the breath, awareness of sounds, and any images that are arising for us, as well as thoughts, different kinds of thoughts, planning, remembering, worrying, questioning, and emotions that might be present for us. Seeing how our experience is kind of all of a piece, ever changing, with each aspect of our experience relating to all the other aspects of our experience. Body, mind, and the senses, hearing, touch, all the senses, the shift of focus between different areas of our experience. And just beginning to let go of the practice as I ring the bell to end this session tonight. So that's it. Gently bringing yourself back and yeah, trying to see if you can have a smooth transition into the rest of the evening. So taking it slowly as you move on with the rest of whatever you need to do tonight. Hopefully you can find time to relax some more. As ever, I'd really like to hear comments from you. See, I have one comment from Lorna. Hi, Lorna. Glad you could make it. Yes. And yeah, I mean, what you thought of doing a mindful movement sitting practice like this would be good to hear from you. Okay, so next Monday is bank holiday, as I'm sure you all are very aware. I'm looking forward to that. So I won't be live streaming on the Monday evening as I'll be otherwise engaged. But I might try and do a live stream at a different time. I'm not sure when yet, maybe the Tuesday night instead of the Monday. But I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. So have a good week, everybody, and enjoy the bank holiday when it arrives. Okay. Good night.